Hi guys. So yesterday I went to Fox Valley Christian Fellowship in Kimberly, Wisconsin, which is like 20 minutes from my home. It's an Assemblies of God church. So I was pretty excited to go because it's what I grew up in. Um, it's what I'm familiar with, which honestly I didn't know. I didn't know Assemblies of God was technically Pentecostal. I just always assumed it was part of like non-denominational, which is what I'm familiar with now. But it was, to me, just like any church that I've been going to, since I was in college. But anyway, so yeah, it was only an hour and a half long, which is about the time that I'm used to. I mean, the setup was what I was used to, um, worship in the beginning by singing contemporary songs with a full band, and then switching over into the message, which because it was Valentine's Day was about romance. Yeah, and then just prayer at the end, and maybe like one or two more worship songs, and then that's it. I mean, it wasn't weird. I mean, it was like it felt normal for me. It wasn't. I didn't feel out of place like I did, like especially in the Orthodox tradition when I went. So yeah, I guess. So that was interesting for me. I guess I had expected. I remember as a kid, like people speaking in tongues a lot more, but that really wasn't happening. I guess maybe we didn't. There wasn't a time for like people to go up and pray for each other, which is also something I remember as a teenager in our Assemblies of God church too, which is when I would hear people speaking in tongues a lot more. Something that this church does that I thought was really cool is that they have dual services. So while the English speaking service is occurring, they also have another like room, I guess, that has a Spanish speaking congregation with their own pastor, but they're of the same congregation. So they like intermingle and before and after, and for like their youth and kid ministries and Bible studies outside of Sunday service. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, other than that, like I said, it was just I didn't really feel like I stood out as much this time. Other than when I walked in and the volunteers were like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" I also liked that there was food, donuts before the service. You can't really go wrong with that for me. But yeah, so all in all, I felt like it felt typical for me, but I think in regards to the whole Pentecostal church altogether, I mean, I think it fell into that category as well. It just was a little more like low key than I think. People weren't like running around speaking in tongues or anything. So it was normal. Like people were relaxed. People for worship, were standing there, sitting there, doing what they wanted. I think a really big emphasis is placed on like a relationship with Jesus. Yeah. And as far as I could tell, I mean, it was a really mixed age group from, kids all the way to elder. And I never know how to guesstimate numbers. Probably like 200 people, but in the English-speaking congregation. I didn't go and sit in the Spanish, so I'm not sure, but yeah, and they only have one service, so that was their whole congregation, so yeah.